a rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Now, I was planning on trying to simulcast the Donald Trump Twitter X conversation, but yeah, I can't get in. It's the space is opened up and immediately just shut everything off, apparently, because so many people jumped on. So I am not able to get in to the X space, not on my phone. And of course, it doesn't work on laptop stuff either. So that pretty much is, it's going to be a no-go, unfortunately. So I wish it would have worked, but yeah, it seems like there were so many people that jumped on that. Yeah, I thought too that they would be a little bit smarter considering what happened with Ron DeSantis and his announcement, that they would have done something better than what they have done here with this. So I'm still trying to look, but yeah, it's Spaces won't let him in. It looks like I'm not the only one that's in here. So, having problems. So apparently, yeah, they essentially failed. I hate that. Technology went ahead and just crashed. So, anyway, all right. So yeah, there we go. I tried. I'm telling you. Tried to get in there and have it for you guys, but apparently no way, shape, or form. And of course, I was messing around with that so much that all of my normal stuff that I usually have set up and ready is not. So give me just a second to get everything else set up here for tonight. Because like I said, I was going to try and have the Twitter space thing going, and it just didn't work. So I gave it a shot, though. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not the only one that seems to be having issues or problems. So, what a mess. Yeah, seems like everybody can't get in. So I'm not the only one. Now, the funny thing about it is that the Democrats, what am I saying? The liberal leftists that still use Twitter. Uh-oh. Like something happened to my, there we go. All right. Like something happened to my broadcast. So Twitter itself is crashing now because there we go. Now I've got it. Okay. So, yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, so it looked like Twitter itself was crashing too. That was not good. But anyway, you know what can I say? It's hopefully they're going to record it and we'll go from there. So, yeah. Anyway. What a mess. Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go ahead and get the show kicked off properly, of course. And let's go ahead and get on to our pledge. Today's pledge will be led by Ms. T of Tex over on Rumble. So please stand, remove your hats, and put your hand over your heart. And let's go ahead and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And of course, I thank Ms. T of Texas for putting that in. If you would like to hear your version of the Pledge of Allegiance, you can do so by recording yourself and then sending it to my email address, fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans at americanperspective.online. Okay, so obviously the first things first, number one item, which is going on, right now, of course, is I don't even have this set up, so hold on. There we go. So there we go. The first things first is that Trump posts on X for the first time in a year. Now he went and he actually jumped on and, well, whoever runs his account now jumped on and posted a bunch of ads, video ads, and those of course went away. But they jumped on and threw us some of those videos up, and now it's basically, and now it's shrunk down to just one ad that he's got pinned up there. So I'm hoping that this is actually going to get him back on X and actually, tweeting or posting or whatever, because yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice for that to happen, for him to get back into this. I know True Social is his thing. I get it, but at the same time, if you look at his account, he's got 88.5 million followers right now, that he really should come back and at least start posting, or his media people should come back and start posting. Anyway, so he jumped back on X and is obviously in some sort of an interview right now for that. Okay. So that being said, let's move on to the next thing, the next topic. I don't know if anybody caught this, but apparently Ukraine has moved into Russian territory. This in the American military news. Ukraine strikes Russian airfield as military incursion goes on. So they have obviously moved into Russian territory, and Ukraine said that it carried out a drone strike on a military airfield in Russia's western Lipetsk region, or Lipetsk region, however you pronounce it. But anyway, expanding the reach of its assaults on Russian territory for the fourth day. So the chances of this actually getting anywhere, realistically, in terms of, forcing anything, I honestly don't know. I think what Ukraine might be thinking is that if they can grab some Russian territory, they can go ahead and try and trade or barter at the bargaining table with regards to this whole situation, and pretty much tell Russia, hey, we'll hand your territory back if you give our territory back. That's the only thing that I can really figure in terms of any kind of horse trading sort of what benefit does Russia have, Ukraine have for this particular situation. But anyway, so fighting apparently, according to the article here, fighting apparently continued for the fourth day in the neighboring Kursk region of Russia, following a surprise incursion by as many as 1,000 Ukrainian troops backed by tanks and other armored vehicles. The Russian Defense Ministry said Friday it used airstrikes and artillery to stop Ukrainian forces from pushing deep into its territory. Ukrainian security services downed a Russian helicopter on Friday using a light drone in the Kursk region. According to a person familiar with the matter, the second such strike this week. So Russian authorities declared a federal emergency in that area. People abandoned their homes to flee the fighting. And Russian military bloggers reported Ukrainian advances as deep as 35 kilometers, roughly 22 miles, from the border. the Institute for the Study of War said in an assessment late Thursday. So, yeah. The U.S., of course, doesn't support long-range attacks into Russia, but this intervention into Kursk is consistent with Washington's policy on Ukraine's use of American-supplied weapons, of course. And that's according to Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh. So this is continuing over in the eastern part of Europe, and we of course have the whole Mid-East section kicking off in terms of things like the whole Iranian threat, which they're looking to do something here soon. At least that's the idea. That's the threat level assessment and so on and so forth for that. Well, again, all of this is due to the fact that we have weak leadership, and they know it. They know that we have weak leadership, both, Russia, Ukraine, that kind of situation. I mean, shoot, Putin took over the Donbass and Crimea regions under weak leadership because he knew he wasn't going to get any pushback. That's why that happened under Obama and Biden rather than under the Trump years. Just crazy, crazy stuff. And of course, Iran is doing the exact same thing. So, yeah, they are, trying to finish up whatever they can, potentially before Trump gets into office, or at least the possibility of Trump, because things are, looking pretty close right now. But, again, polls are polls. We don't necessarily pay attention to them. In 2016, they were saying that it was a guaranteed win for Hillary Clinton. And, yeah, we saw what happened there. So take them with a grain of salt, throw them over your shoulder, and that's what you get for good luck. All right. I don't know if anybody caught this. I'm sure people did, because I know it made the rounds on social media, but I don't think that it necessarily got into any of the mainstream media scenarios because, of course, this would be something that they wouldn't pay attention to. But the British police apparently think they've got bigger cojones than what they actually have. Because here in Wokespy, British police threaten to extradite Americans, including Elon Musk. Well, they, in a very 1984 style scenario, what they did is essentially they have found that, importing migrants that don't want to assimilate into society is probably not the best thing in the world to do. And so now what they're doing is they're having to police social media accounts, especially given the fact that riots have now broken out in towns all across the UK, because the people are getting tired. The people are just, they're getting tired and very upset over the fact that these migrants are moving in and changing their culture and doing all kinds of strange stuff. And essentially what's ending up happening here is these things are, just getting out of hand. And they're, right now, the riots that are going on there, they're mainly being led by white native English folks. But because they have essentially, the people have essentially had problems and are done with this, now the police are going and starting to round them up. Usually they let the migrants just do whatever they were going to do in terms of their instigation of, street violence and so on and so forth, just like the left does over here. But now they have decided, the UK government has now decided that they are going to be completely crazed about the terms of equity and inclusion. And so they are now starting to arrest people for posting stuff on social media that can be considered what they say is hate speech. And the government is actually arrested somebody and sentenced somebody here not too long ago. But they're going through, and they are now, the Metropolitan Police Chief, Sir Mark Rowley, is threatening to extradite people from other countries like America into Britain to face prosecution if they say the wrong things online. Well, he said, quote, and this is to Sky News, by the way, quote, "We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you." Yeah. Yep. They can just kiss my rear end. We haven't cared about what is going on or what the UK thinks about us until, well, since 1776. I would love to see them extradite somebody from over here. Yeah, it's not gonna, I mean, it's not gonna, this is ridiculous. I mean, seriously, this is really ridiculous. And what's funny about this whole article, but funny, I don't mean funny, haha, but funny as in sort of like strange, weird, odd. This stuff was going around on social media, and they essentially were trying to say that places like X, because of Elon Musk, were going to get severely policed. And again, most Americans, we're not going to care about this. Seriously? You're going to come over here and extradite us for saying stuff that is completely free speech. And by the way, I saw a post from someone over there in Britain who essentially was saying, "Oh, we have free speech. It's guaranteed in our, whatever their equivalent is to the Constitution, their Bill of Rights or whatever." And it's like, really? Yeah, that's not free speech. If you're being muzzled because you happen to say something that somebody else found offensive on this. So, yeah. It's, I'm sorry, but I don't think I will ever go back to England again. And what's funny is I was actually even considering and trying to talk my wife into possibly retiring to Ireland until they came up with that hate speech law, and then I was done. So it is really, really true. The last bastion of freedom on this earth right now is right here in America. And we are the last lighthouse for freedom and liberty and individual responsibility and accountability. That's us. We're it. There's no place else for us to go. If we try to go somewhere else, yeah, we're not going to make it. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I just, this is just so bad. Yeah. Anyway, that one world government, I'm telling you, is coming. They're working on it. All right. Well, continuing on with, of course, our wonderful friend, Governor Tim Walz. Yeah. Like I said, folks, this stolen valor, lying about his, stuff that he's doing in the back end. Yeah, all of that, it's going away. Or it's not going to go away. Sorry. It's blowing up even more. Now, I showed you on Saturday, the video of his direct line superior, his superior NCO at the time, the sergeant major that was in charge of him, who essentially claimed, probably rightfully so, that Walz went around him to get his retirement papers put in. Well, now we have a couple other people from his unit. It's kind of interesting. There's not one single person from Walz's unit that has stood up, to the best of my knowledge, and defended this man. So far, everybody up until this point has all had nothing but negative things to say about him. And you would think that out of all of the people who would say something nice about a guy who might be doing this, you would think that might just actually be the chaplain, the battalion chaplain. Yeah, he might be the one to say something nice about Walls. Well, you're in red state. Tim Walls, National Guard Unit chaplain, puts the retirement controversy to rest with just one word. Now, here's the word. And believe me, this article, you have to kind of read through it in order to get to it because it's all the way down at the bottom. Talk about clickbait. But anyway, here's the crux of the whole thing. When retired Captain Corey Burchess, or Bjertness, Burtness, I guess, who is the chaplain for the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery, was contacted about Wall's retirement fracas, he was pretty succinct. This is what he said, quote, in our world, to drop, in our world, to drop out after a warnord, which is a warning order, okay, is issued is cowardly, especially for a senior enlisted guy. Oh, this is not going well. This is not going well at all for him. So now his orders, just to be clear, the actual orders that the unit got to go over to Iraq didn't actually show up until right around March of 2005. But they knew all the way back in the, in September, August, September timeframe, autumn of 2004, that his battalion was being slated to go to Iraq. Yeah. They also, again, you can't avoid this. It was posted on his website that his congressional campaign website, that he was going to head to Iraq with his battalion. And as you heard last week, his direct line supervisor, his supervising NCO, said the exact same thing. Well, I thought he was going to go forward, meaning that he was going to deploy with the unit. Yeah. So, even the chaplain is saying this guy is just absolutely disgusting and horrible. Well, the one person that we haven't heard from yet, honestly, was Walls's actual commanding officer. And here, his commanding officer decided to do this very publicly on Facebook, and it was cross-posted by Donald Trump Jr. on X. Here's what was said. Feeling a need to say this, I do not regret that Tim Walls retired early from the Minnesota Army National Guard, did not complete the Sergeant Major's Academy, broke his enlistment contract, or did not successfully complete any assignment as a sergeant major. Unwittingly, he got out of the way for better leadership. Tom Behrens was the right leader at the right time. He sacrificed to answer the call, leaving his family, business, and farming partner brother to train, lead, and care for soldiers. He earned the privilege of being called Command Sergeant Major. Like a great leader, he ran toward and not away from the guns. I have no opinion of Mr. Walls' decision to leave the service at the time he did. It was his right to retire early. I also have no criticism of his service as an E7 and E8 in the Minnesota Army National Guard. By all accounts, and on the record, he was a competent chief of firing battery, gunnery sergeant, and first sergeant. I cannot say the same of his service sitting frocked in the CSM chair. He did not earn the rank or successfully complete any assignment as an E9. It is an affront to the non-commissioned officer corps that he continues to glob onto the title. I can sit in the cockpit of an airplane, but it does not make me a pilot. Similarly, when the demands of service and leadership at the highest level got real, he chose another path. And he closed it off with hashtag not my CSM. Telling you guys, this is not going away. This is not going away. And by the way, too, if anybody sits there and say, he made a mistake. He sort of misrepresented himself. He misspoke. That's the newest thing from the Kamala Harris campaign is, well, Walz misspoke about his service. Really? He misspoke, huh? He had a frickin' thing minted. He issued, so, okay, before I get into this, I need to explain to you what a challenge coin is. A challenge coin is a military tradition, and usually when you get into certain levels of higher rank, you have these coins. And what you do is you hand them out to people who do things in lieu of being able to hand them like a regular medal or something along that. But you hand these out to people and to soldiers in particular, who essentially have done something really good, but don't necessarily qualify for any other type of reward. And what happens with these challenge coins is when you get a bunch of military people together, okay, and they go and call for a challenge coin check, you pull out your challenge coins, and whoever has the highest ranking challenge coin is the one who is exempt from buying drinks that night. Okay. So having a high ranking coin, especially, and if you think about it, if you go all the way up to the president, if the president of the United States hands you a challenge coin and you're a member of the military, you will never buy drinks ever in your life. Well, apparently members of Congress have picked up on this. And so what they did is he issued a congressional challenge coin that misstated, apparently, his rank. You can see the challenge coin here in this image. I'll see if I can bring it up even bigger here. Let's see if I can. And there it is. So if you look closely where the red arrows are pointing, it's on the upper, if you're looking at it, it's in your upper left-hand side of the screen here. You'll see that he had the CSM, the Command Sergeant Major rank logo that you would wear on your sleeve, put in the challenge coin. Yeah, there's no way, absolutely no way that, there's absolutely no way that he did that accidentally. He did that on purpose, and he knew it. He knew it. This guy's he is a good piece of work, I'm telling you. Oh, I'm so done with this guy. I can't even imagine. And people sit there and they're like, well, if you rank on him now, rank, not rank as in, rank of service, but if you rank on him, if you call him out now, you're actually questioning his 24 years of service and all the things that he did. Well, no, not necessarily. But you need to understand that by him doing what he did at the end of his service, everything that was done prior is completely erased by how he ended his service. I mean, about the only thing that probably could have, kept him somewhat respectful is if he actually had something, say, I don't know, a Congressional Medal of Honor or a Purple Heart from a previous engagement or something along those lines. Okay. Then I could understand. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And so, yeah. Coco asks, hey, all, what's happening with the Elon Trump interview? Well, I'll tell you what's happening, Coco, is that nobody seems to be able to get into the spaces that they set up. It pretty much kind of crashed, sort of like the Ron DeSantis thing did. At least for me, anyway. I can't seem to get into it. So yeah, I tried and I almost made it, but I couldn't get in. So yeah, so there we go. And the X seems to be having problems and crashing, and yeah, even my X stream is dead. So, oh, well, I had to reload. It seems to keep crashing. They're having some serious problems over there. So, it should have gone to Rumble. Damn it. Anyway, okay. So, I've got a kind of a disturbing story here. Now let me get on to, I'll get back to this. I'll get back to this. But President Biden did a interview this weekend, and he actually admitted that there was pressure from the Democrats to make him drop out. So what we have pretty much suspected so far, okay, has essentially been that what we've pretty much suspected has been that he was pushed, that he was pushed out. And so this was confirmed by Biden. And here you can listen to his words about it.
Polls we had showed that it was a neck and neck race. Would have been down to the wire. But what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and I thought it'd be a real distraction, number one. Number two, when I ran the first time, I thought of myself as being a transition president. I can't even say how old I am. It's hard for me to get out of my mouth. And, but things got moving so quickly, it didn't happen. And the combination was that I thought it was a critical issue for me, still is not a joke, maintaining this democracy.
Okay, now don't forget, whenever Joe says it's not a joke, okay, when he says it's not a joke, that means that it's actually a joke. All right. So, yeah. He was essentially pushed out. That's pretty much what it is, and we knew it. We knew it. I mean, everybody kind of knew he was going to get pushed out. It was because of the fact, not that it was going to be a close race, because we know it wasn't going to be a close race. We know that. If he'd have stayed in, it wouldn't have been a close race. But now that he's out, we've seen the enthusiasm. Whether you believe it's fake or not, I don't know. I don't know. I think the pressure is going to be on. Yes, we're 80 some odd days away from the election, and there's not a lot of time left in the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, though, I honestly don't think that he is, that it is as close as what they are purporting it to, because, of course, the mainstream media and a lot of the pollsters who are mainstream media sycophants, they are pushing to try and get this as close as of a race as possible, so that if they do something nefarious to get it across the line, it's going to be sort of believable. That's my take on it. So I'm not worried about the polls. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about what they keep talking about, what the left keeps talking about. And I know it's tough on the socials. It's really, really tough to be on the social media platforms and see all of these sycophantic, morons who are, anyway, who all these sycophantic morons. Sorry, I was checking out because apparently a couple other people are in to the Twitter spaces already. But the thing about it is that, I know all the sycophantic morons are claiming victory and all of these other things. Yeah, just don't believe it. Just do what you got to do. Put your heads down. Don't listen to the hype. And let's keep pressing on. Let's try our damnedest. We have got to the 10-10-10 rule, according to, according to Dan Bongino, of course, is 10 friends, 10 emails, and 10 social media posts or something like that. Get people out to vote. We have got to get people out to vote. You can't get complacent in something as important as where we are at here in the 2024 election cycle. We have to keep on pushing forward. We cannot afford to stop now. And, if the Trump campaign ever heard me talking or even push for anything, I would just say, keep attacking her on the issues. Keep attacking her and Tim Walz on their positions. They are both far left socialists. They can't run away from their pasts. They try to hide it. They try to cover it up. But if we keep bringing it up and keep pushing it in front of them, then they're going to have a seriously hard time trying to cover all of that up for the independent Americans that are not quite so sure that they want to necessarily follow Trump, but they're also not quite so sure that they want the dystopian nightmare that the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz campaign is going to attempt to bring it in. All right. Well, this is kind of interesting. I had a feeling it was going to happen, but this is kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody saw this. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know how far it's going to go, but it definitely was something that Trump is apparently going to sue the DOJ for $100 million over the raid on Mar-a-Lago, alleging political persecution. Now, Trump's attorney says that the raid never should have been approved by Garland and Wray and that it was unconstitutional. I would tend to agree, considering the fact that it was a very generic warrant or search request, search order, which is not supposed to happen here in this country. They are supposed to describe specifically what they are looking for and where they believe that thing to be. They can't just go in and do a blanket search order, search authorization order. So anyway, he is set to sue the Justice Department, and the lawyers are arguing that it was done with clear intent to engage in political prosecution. Fox News obtained the Trump memo, claiming that it was torturous conduct by the United States against President Trump. Trump and his legal team are intending to sue the Justice Department for its conduct during the raid on August 8th of 2022. After the raid, special counsel Jack Smith was appointed to investigate, and he is, still under potential problems with this. And now that the court case has been thrown out, by the way, by Eileen Cannon, now Trump can actually go after them for this. And that's kind of where we're at. So, now that it's been dismissed, they can move forward on this particular lawsuit. And Cannon ruled that Smith, of course, was unlawfully appointed and funded, signing the appointments clause of the Constitution, which she is right on that. Trump's attorney, Daniel Epstein, filed the notice to sue the Justice Department. The Justice Department has 180 days from the date of receipt to respond to Epstein's notice. I hope that's no relation. But Epstein's notice to come to a resolution. If no resolution is made, Trump's case will move to federal court in the Southern District of Florida. Now, Trump's attorney told Fox Business's Lydia Hu, what President Trump is doing here is not just standing up for himself. He is standing up for all Americans who believe in the rule of law and believe that you should hold the government accountable when it wrongs you. So, yep. Oh, and in the filing, it actually calls out too that the decisions made by the FBI and DOJ regarding the raid were inconsistent with protocols requiring the consent of an investigative target, disclosure to that individual's attorneys, and use of the local U.S. Attorney's Office. So there's a lot of things that are falling down right now in terms of, you know, where Garland's DOJ is going to be. I'm telling you, he has a case. I think he has a case. I think it's a justified case, and I think it will hopefully net something for it. So, yeah. We'll just kind of have to see. According to what Epstein wrote, was that Garland and Wray should never have approved a raid and subsequent indictment of President Trump because the well-established protocol with former U.S. presidents is to use non-enforcement means to obtain records of the United States. But notwithstanding the fact that the raid should have never occurred, Garland and Wray should have ensured that their agents sought consent from President Trump, notified his lawyers, and sought cooperation. Garland and Wray decided to stray from established protocol to injure President Trump. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting to watch and see how this thing falls out. They also call out the malicious prosecution with the point of the special counsel's office, and so on and so forth, pointed to the Supreme Court ruling that the president has immunity from prosecution for official acts. So that's been thrown in there as well. Yeah, this is just a huge ball of wax and total mess. We're going to have to see how this thing melts out for this. There's just so many things that are wrong on all of this. And of course, the money comes from the punitive damages that they're planning on going after. So they're suing for punitive damages as well. Now, the Justice Department, of course, declined to comment on it. So they have all kinds of problems. I mean, seriously, this thing, if you recall, just to remind everybody, first of all, they didn't bother to use the local people. They brought in people. They had what was it? They had the general warrant, or the general search authorization request, which was, unheard of. They also had the FBI taking fake photos of cover sheets. Then you had the FBI messing with the evidence itself in terms of as a part of the case. And then, of course, add all of that on top of the fact that Jack Smith did not have the authorization to do any of that at the moment. So, so there you go. This is going to be interesting to see and to watch, of course, as we move forward. All right. So, let me see, time check. Okay. So this article, I actually, kind of am saying that you really need to pay attention to this. People have been talking about how George Soros is like this boogeyman. He's a, faux figure. He's just a target for the right. so on and so forth. And this article that came out really kind of breaks down how much of an influence that Soros actually has, especially on all the prosecutors that he's been buying on this. So here in Newsbusters, Law and Disorder, how the Soros machine directs and controls prosecutors across America to implement his leftist agenda. So MRC uncovered almost 8,000 pages. It was 7,785 pages of internal communications from dozens of Soros-backed prosecutors. And these internal documents show a level of control that a lot of people don't seem to think that they have, basically making it so that they are staffing their offices with hand-picked leftists. They're dictating media narratives according to these emails and internal documents. They're lobbying government officials, and they are also setting the policies and priorities of the offices. And Soros invested at least $117 million to install, direct, and control 126 radicalized prosecutors. Yeah, this is kind of scary. So about 30% of the U.S. population, by their estimates, currently live under the boot of a Soros prosecutor, or Soros prosecutors across the United States, who apparently, according to those internal documents, were pressured to sign pledges vowing to adhere to various Soros priorities. Now, the Soros machine, according to the piece here, orchestrated 33 of these joint statements and pledges, which were signed by 123 of the 126 prosecutors. This is just maddening. They also apparently held at least 51 different meetings with prosecutors as well. I mean, this is all dealing with Soros and his, well, I mean, let's be honest, this is Alex Soros now, not George, but this is Alex Soros's setup. You should read this piece and get an idea and read the full report. There is a link here that has it. It has the full report. This is just, the tip of the iceberg, I think, with it. But you can get this link in my description, my video descriptions on YouTube, X, Facebook, and of course, my favorite, Rumble. The link is in there. It's the MRC Newsbusters article. It's just amazing to me that we have somebody who is able to who is essentially able to control that much and that amount of people, of our justice system. I mean, just by putting in prosecutors, speaking about that, I wonder if Kamala Harris is on that list. That would be interesting to find out who is on that list. I may have to look through that report, that complete report, and see if they name everybody. But anyway, so that is just scary. That is just scary to even think about, that this guy, he's essentially buying our justice system and, of course, making it. Now, think about this. I mean, 126 prosecutors across the country who is essentially, essentially buying and dictating to these people how our justice system is supposed to work. You thought it was bad that Kamala Harris and, wanted to bail out protesters? this guy has, who Kamala Harris basically says with a stroke of a pen, she can decide whether she's going to charge a felony or a misdemeanor on people. And this guy has what sounds to be, I mean, literal lock, stock, and barrel control over these folks. That he's got these people basically signing, he's basically got these people signing pledges that they will do whatever he bids, whatever he wants. That's what they are going to do. Folks, we are in a existential crisis right now, people. This 20, I know it sounds cliche and it sounds, very repetitive, but 2024 is an election we cannot afford to lose. We need to get people in, not just at the presidential level, but we also need to get all of the local levels and the state levels taken care of. We've got to get these people out. We've got to kick these people to the curb. I mean, you want to talk about deep state? This is exactly what the deep state is. A small cabal of rich, entitled elitists who have this denigration dean for the world, this idea that they can control everything, and they're doing it. They're doing it. And that's, I just can't imagine how we've allowed this kind of thing to happen. And this guy is still here. We haven't kicked him out. We haven't gotten rid of him. He's meddling in all of our affairs, and we haven't done anything about it. This is what 1984 and the entire nightmare of the deep state cabal, you could even call them the Illuminati or whatever, is really all about. Something along these lines. And trust me, they're going to continue to do this. I mean, if you thought that our government wasn't infiltrated, this is exactly why the bureaucrats and why Donald Trump wants to get rid of the bureaucrats. This is why. Because the bureaucrats are the unelected masters, essentially, that we are beating our own drum to. We need to get rid of these people. We have to get them out. And the first step is to elect individuals who are not a part of that cabal. So over the weekend, Kamala Harris was in Las Vegas, and she had the bright idea of talking about no tax on tips. Well, she also seems to have the bright idea of shifting away from the lack of focus that she had on the border. She's now starting to talk about the whole border scenario and how, just ignore the fact that she's been the border czar, that she was sent to the tri-border or tri-state area, tri-country area or whatever to try and figure out what was going on with migrants and why they were coming here and so on and so forth. They're failing at that. Now she wants everybody to seem to believe, or to be suckered into believing, I should say, suckered into believing that she now actually cares. Even though she wants to decriminalize border jumping, she wants immigrants to be able to cross the border anytime, anywhere, any place, and not get into trouble. That she did literally nothing and allowed anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 million illegal aliens to storm into the United States. But now she's calling for a pathway to citizenship. This is a normal call for the Democrats. They want all these people to just automatically gain amnesty for all of this. And she, in her speech, she said, Donald Trump does not want to fix the problem. Earlier this year, we had a chance to pass the toughest bipartisan border security bill in decades, but Donald Trump tanked the deal because he thought by doing that, it would help him win an election. Well, Kamala, you are totally mistaken. The true border bill was the H.R. 2 bill that was passed by the House of Representatives that still to this day is being refused to be picked up by the Senate. That was the real border bill. That bipartisan bullshit that you tried to pass was crap. 5,000 crossings per day? It's arbitrary. I mean, seriously, that was not a bipartisan border bill. What is a border bill? I'm going to tell you. Here's what a border bill is. You want to secure the border? Here's how you do it. You finish the wall. Then you deploy your army folks, hell, even deploy the Minnesota National Guard to the border and give them live targets. That's how you solve the problem. And it sounds really bad. Sounds horrible, but I'm telling you, the power of deterrence is the greatest power in the world. You put these people on notice. You tell them, look, you guys, you go to cross the border, you're going to get killed. That's it. It's over and done with. Okay? No questions. We're going to view you as an enemy combatant trying to get into our country. If you don't go to our actual border crossings, our border gates, you go there to get processed. If you're claiming asylum or whatever, that's where you go. But if you try to cross anywhere where there isn't a gate, sorry, you've been warned, and you drop them when they come across. Give the snipers some sniper training. Seriously, I guarantee you all of that crap will stop. No different than if you actually arrest car thieves and put them in jail for stealing cars instead of letting them out over and over and over and over again. Okay? These people don't know how to protect a border, run a country, or anything else. Yeah. This is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous that we even have to have these kinds of conversations with regards to this. You know, she had three. Oh, she also, too, by the way, claims that she wants to hire more border patrol. Well, I hate to tell you this, sweetheart. I didn't want to use that term, but there you go. I hate to tell you this, sweetheart. You're the VP for 3.5 years. You were the border czar for at least 2 of those years. Why didn't you come back to Joe and say, Joe, we need more border patrol? Well, simple answer, of course, is you don't want to secure the border. You're not interested. Anyway. All right. Well, that's it for me this evening. Do me a favor if you like what I do, and I'm sorry about the spaces thing or the X thing. I really wish I could have done it, but obviously technical difficulties on X's side, not mine. So do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, please head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you're there, search up the American Perspective channel. And when you find it, hit that green follow button. If you are already over on Rumble and signed in, or any of my outlets, please hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit whatever it is to make it so that you guys can, give me a positive feedback. And, I'll even take the negative feedback too. I don't care. But anyway, for Rumble in particular, that helps to get me onto the leaderboard in the editor's picks, which I would love to see. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.